How many snaps did they run in the 14 personnel?
That's only for us.
100% of the snaps.
What's going on, guys? Welcome into 14P Fantasy. I am your host, Justin Wright. Today, we are talking start or sits at the running back position, part 2 for week 1 of the fantasy playoffs. Obviously, these are the ones we have to get right. You guys have to, navigate and figure out in your lineups. So before we get into it, though, remember to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hit the bell for notifications, like the video, and then drop any questions, comments, anything like that. We will answer everything and get you guys ready for the playoffs this week. All right, now let's get into it. First on our list is Damien Harris versus the Colts. The matchup itself is bad. The expected volume for Damien Harris is most likely bad. The injury status for Damien Harris is bad. Everything for Damien Harris is bad right now. With the hamstring injury, getting limited practice, yes, he's probably going to suit up. But I don't think I'm going to trust him because, one, the chance of re-injury is very high with hamstrings. And two, they have Ramondre Stevenson to shoulder the workload, and not overtax Damien Harris, a guy they're going to need come the playoffs. So I just don't see why Bill Belichick would overwork Damien Harris, on Saturday. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. So Damien Harris, if I have him, I'm sitting him down just because I'm trying to guess what Bill Belichick is going to do. And usually that's the dumbest thing a person can do, but I'm going to anticipate him not giving Damien Harris a full workload. When you look at how good that Colts defense is, allowing under 100 yards a game, only 7 rushing touchdowns on the year, I don't want a guy that's not going to maybe see 10 touches. I think that's a red flag for me. So I'm going to sit Damien Harris down and, I'm going to pivot. Maybe do Rashaad Penny. I mean, that's a hell of a transition, but Rashaad Penny versus the Rams is another flex play. Alex Collins on the COVID list, Adrian Peterson bad at football. It's really just Rashaad Penny's backfield until he gets hurt again. And right now he's healthy. So you're looking at a guy that's going to play over 50% of snaps like he did last week, has some home run ability, has red zone work, should get pass catching work if they fall behind. What's not to like about Rashaad Penny as a flex play? Obviously, I'm not going to put him as an RB2 because the matchup isn't ideal, and it's Rashaad Penny. But if you have him, it's difficult to get away from him as a high-end flex. The matchup's not great. The Rams are allowing less rushing yards than the Colts are per game. But this is an isolated workload. We know it's going to be Rashaad Penny. That's really what this comes down to. You're looking at a guy that's going to see 15-plus touches and a running back landscape that is completely decimated by COVID and injuries and IR and everything else. So if you have Rashaad Penny, he's a very high-end flex play this week. Moving on to Devonta Freeman versus the Packers. I get Lamar Jackson may not play, but the last time Lamar Jackson didn't play, Devonta Freeman went for 20 points, had 22 touches, and was perfectly fine. The game script that they saw against Chicago, trailing most of the day, is probably what they see against Green Bay, probably to a greater extent, which means Devonta Freeman, who's now playing close to 70% of snaps, should see upwards of 5 targets, which raises that fantasy floor, should be running against some soft fronts potentially. Just all around this matchup, while it may not be great on paper, the game script and game flow line up well for Devonta Freeman, who had success when Huntley started last time. He's still a running quarterback, so the rushing lanes remain there that, Lamar creates. And Devonta Freeman, being the red zone back, the receiving back, being everything as a running back to this team right now, he's an RB2. If you have him, you're playing him. I'm playing him over Rashaad Penny, to be very clear. Over him, I'll play Devonta Freeman over him. A guy like Royce Freeman, who's a low end flex I'm going to touch on in a second. And then a guy like A.J. Dillon. Devonta Freeman's the easy play over all of them, even without Lamar. And I just mentioned him. Royce Freeman versus Jacksonville. Yeah, I know it's a picture of him on the Panthers, by the way. They're just pictures of him on the Texans aren't on the internet. They freaking don't exist when I made this overlay. So whatever. But Jacksonville's a good matchup. I mean, it's not anything I'm going to be afraid of, even as terrible as Houston is. I think they can get it done on the ground. And I think he ends up splitting work with David Johnson. That's the thing. David Johnson was out last week, which is why Royce Freeman saw over 50% of snaps. David Johnson is back. Rex Burkhead remains out. So Royce Freeman could see 10 to 12 touches, and that's why he's a low-end flex. There's volume. Volume in a matchup where he could have success. The lowest of the low-end flexes. I'm not forcing him into my lineups. He is a true desperation play. And moving on to the other side of the Baltimore game now, you have A.J. Dillon coming in as a flex again. And I already talked about game script and how I anticipate this game to play out. And if Green Bay is up early and often, A.J. Dillon's going to get a lot of work rushing. He should have 15-plus carries. It's just a matter of if he finds the end zone. You know, the matchup is not ideal. If he gets on the outside, obviously Baltimore gives up a lot of big plays. So there is potential there. But really, you're banking on an A.J. Dillon touchdown, which is why he comes in as a mid-level, touchdown-dependent flex. He's behind Rashaad Penny for me. He's ahead of Royce Freeman by a mile. But, yeah, you're just banking on a touchdown. There's really not much else you can say for A.J. Dillon this week. And to close us out, we have Miles Sanders versus Washington. Coming off of an injury, Miles Sanders is still, and the bye week, Miles Sanders is back to being an RB2. The workload he saw prior to getting banged up at the end of week 13 is everything we hoped for this season. If he's going to see over 15 touches a game, he saw over 25 last time, but if he's going to see over 15, he has the home run ability to make it worth it. And again, running back is so decimated. If he's healthy, you are playing him. Running back and wide receiver are decimated. There's no one active. So Miles Sanders, if you have him, you're lucky to have a home run threat in your backfield. And you're going to play Miles Sanders, a guy that, again, should go over 15 touches, has the ability, if they commit to him, to go over 20 touches and could even be an RB1 in a weird week 15. All right, that's all I have for you. Again, subscribe to the YouTube channel, like the video, drop questions, comments, all of that kind of stuff, and we'll answer it as we get ready for the rest of week 1 of the fantasy playoffs. As always, guys, thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.
How many snaps did they run in the 14 personnel?
That's only for us.
100% of the snaps.